Hey guys, it's Threesto, and it's been a while. Now, I think the last time I made a video was 8 or 9 months ago at this point, so I've definitely kept you guys waiting. And that video was more of a rant than anything. And I think this video will follow a similar vein, although on a more lighter note, and trying to highlight how to improve things for the better and reflect and recognize mistakes and shortcomings, and ultimately how you can apply those to make something better going forward. Now, I've just wanted an excuse to get back into YouTube, so I figured that after a quick talk with my dear friend Catmob Ricey, shout out to him. He's one of my best friends and the whole world. I love you. But after talking with him about map design and his struggles with, designing maps and things of that nature, we're not going to get too deep into it. I reflect for a bit and realized that Fine Cheese to Feed a Rat, which you guys may know, is not what I wanted it to be. Fine Cheese to Feed a Rat was the sequel to Buy Food to Feed Your Cat, and Buy Food to Feed Your Cat was the first game I officially released by almost entirely myself. You can see I have a little bit of help for animations and art, but other than that, I did all the programming and building, and it was my first real time doing that. And this game was a happy accident. The success of this game, as you can see here, almost 20 million visits, just over 18 currently. The result of this game's popularity was a happy accident. And there's very good reason for that. I was not looking at this game through the eyes of an entrepreneur or a game developer who wanted to have international success. That was not my goal. My goal with this game was to create something in line with the genre that I already was enjoying. The be a dad and get milk simulator and get a snack at 3 a.m. and or whatever stuff like that, right? Or 4 a.m. whatever. You guys get what I'm talking about. But my point is, this game came from the fruits of labor, whatever. I don't know. It was a passion project. And I didn't recognize it when I first made the game, but it really was a passion project. This was kind of an homage to all the times I would write in my notebooks as a child, 7, 8, 9 years old, and I would write just ideas for games I wanted to make on Roblox. If you guys haven't known, I've been on Roblox for over half my life. I've been on Roblox since I was 7. I'm 19 now, so 2012. But since then, I have picked up, skills in game development. I'm finally able to sit here and create something and make my childhood self proud. And Buy Food to Feed Your Cat was the first realization of that. Now, it wasn't necessarily an idea I had in my mind for over 10 years now, but it was something that is kind of similar in the same vein, where it was created because I wanted to make something that I enjoy. And Fine Cheese to Feed a Rat, on the other hand, was a failed sequel in the sense that it was not built on the same passion and enjoyment that this game was built on, or nearly the same intellectual level, or subconscious planning, or whatever you want to call it. Fine Cheese to Feed a Rat was trying to piggyback off the success of what this game had built through honest means. Sorry, the audio's gonna be in the back for a second while I talk. But Dysfunctional Diner was my second big game that I released, and I released it after Buy Food to Feed Your Cat. And if you haven't played this game, I recommend it still. I still love this game. But it did extremely well. 7 million visits. And that's not nearly as many as Buy Food to Feed Your Cat because there's kind of an inflation with this, with rejoining the game and whatever. But this game made a substantial amount of money, especially for where I was at the time. And this game permanently altered my brain chemistry with game development because instead of making games for passion, I was trying to make a game that was similar to other popular games at the time. Now, sure, that's what I did with Buy Food to Feed Your Cat, but this came from financial opportunity. I realized I was developing the skills I needed to make a game and ship a game, and unfortunately, I just saw this as a way to make money rather than something I was actually passionate about. And that's why I feel like it's dead now. It doesn't have a player base. Um, and could have been so much better if I actually put passion into the game. But that is directly what caused the failure of Find Cheese Defeat a Rat. I was creating a game to kind of recreate that success of Dysfunctional Diner. I saw the results that Buy Food to Feed Your Cat had. I saw how well Dysfunctional Diner did. And I wanted to make something that would make more money and be successful as well, but really it didn't go well. And I'm not here to harp on about all the things I wish I did different or all the things I could have done better and all the reasons, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to talk about all that. What I'm here to talk about, and hopefully provide insight for you guys, and I know I've been talking for like 5 minutes now, but I'm here to talk about is making a game as a player, not a developer. And I'm going to give you a little walkthrough of Buy Food to Feed Your Cat, and then Find Cheese to Feed a Cat, or Feed a Rat, sorry, to illustrate what I mean by this. As you can tell, this video is unscripted, so I don't care too much. But you wake up and Buy Food to Feed Your Cat. I'm just going to start calling it Buy Food. It's a lot. It's a mouthful. And you don't really have much you can do besides go interact with your cat and open this door. So you talk to your cat. Maxwell's too late for this, blah, blah, blah. Your bowl is empty. Is that what? Is that what's got you so cranky? If you couldn't tell by the game name already, this would be your first incentive or first objective and direction to tell you what you should do. How to play this game, I guess. Go find food for your cat. And you can see out here, there's a pet shop across the street. And the only other option you're really left with, besides some secret endings like this and God knows whatever else I put in this game, is to open this door. And since we're on the second floor of a house, we're naturally guided to the staircase. Now, if you guys know anything about feng shui, I did take into account feng shui when making this house. This is the command position for the bed, and blah, 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 blah. I'm not here to talk about all that stuff. Actually, that's not really the best position, but whatever. But the idea is that you're naturally guided through this house. You can go downstairs, which is nice and open, and you're going across the street, or at least you're going downstairs, and then you're going to continue from there. There's this door here, which you can open. There's a couple different endings that you can get related to this room. But if you just go downstairs, you're going to see that, oh, well, I have a living room, I have a kitchen, you can interact with stuff. Oh, this is locked, can't go out there, can't go through the windows. So the only option is to go through the front door. And as soon as you step out, you see the pet shop, clear as day right here. And I think even on lowest graphics, you still see it. There's a couple other things you can explore. You can go any other direction you want. But generally with the idea that you're going to feed your cat, the first thing you'll want to do is head towards the pet shop. And notice the angle I'm entering this pet shop at. I'm entering it from the direction I came from my house. And the first thing I see is all this cat food. Now, there's dog food over here, there's other items you can get, but you're first drawn to this cat food. Now, if you try to walk out with the cat food, it's gonna, you're gonna get caught shoplifting and get an ending for that. And that's going to sort of communicate that, oh, you actually have to pay for items. This game has a whole lot of hand-holding, which was another thing I talked about with Ricey. A lot of games have hand-holding, but it's up to you to make sure that it's not blatant hand-holding. You don't want to be actually dragging the player by their hand. You want to be using your environment and your game to guide the player to where they need to go and what they got to do. So, as you saw, I was guided out of my house, and I was guided here, and guided to my objective. If I walk out with this and didn't pay, then I'm going to get an ending that tells me, oh, I actually have to pay, So, you go here, you check out, you talk to this guy, you have the cat food, and you lose your money, and then you can go walk back, and you go feed your cat. That's all the game was. That was the whole premise of the game. Just feed your cat. But because I had so much passion for this game, and I had such a desire to continue adding to this because I just loved working on it, and wasn't worried about the money or the fame, this game became pretty successful. It was played by a bunch of major YouTubers. Everyone was talking about it. It was pretty hot on the block for a while, so to speak. And all that was because I was passionate about the game. I liked seeing people play the game, and I liked seeing them get the endings, and it gave me ideas for what I could add next. You know, do crossovers and collabs with other games. You know, add cool little interactions with NPCs. You know, more items you can feed your cat, more different secrets you can discover. You know, uh, stuff like this. If you know, you know. You know, an entire cave section, and you know, even an entire sewer section that then became the basis for Fine Cheese to Feed a Rat. It was just a bunch of little ideas sprouting off from each other. You know, I got the idea to make one thing, and I saw how people reacted to it, and I went and added new stuff, and I ended up with over 50 endings and probably a dozen other miscellaneous badges, and I just had a great time working on this game. Now, do you want to know the most interesting part about this? This game has awful code. Very, very horrible code. This game was coded so poorly. It was my first sole programming project. I didn't even know much about server client communication and all sorts of stuff that you really need to know, and modularity and using functions. It was bad. But I didn't care. I kind of hammered through all of those difficulties, all those struggles, making new features and new additions to the game because I just loved adding new stuff. I loved creating things and seeing how people would react to them, you know? Like, I loved adding hats, even though that was such a miserable experience. And adding the Grimace Shake and, oh god, bunch of weird ideas, you know? Adding community NPCs and different tools you can get that do certain things and all of this other random stuff. And I loved it. And people loved it. The reception on this game was incredible. The reception on this game is still incredibly high, you know? And that was super inspiring to me. But with the turn from buy food to feed your cat to find cheese to feed a rat, in that time span, Dysfunctional Diner definitely threw things off for me. And maybe it wasn't the worst thing because, you know, I had financial stability for a while and it taught me a lot about how not to spend money, and obviously I got a lot better at programming too and building and whatever. But let's open Find Cheese to Feed a Rat, and you'll start to notice, despite being fundamentally the same game as Buy Food to Feed Your Cat, it has some pretty glaring flaws. Same similar menu. You have all these different things you can open, and it's a lot smoother. You have multiplayer. We'll get into that later. If it's even worth talking about. But you start in here. You have lights you can turn on, just like buy food. And you can talk to this rat. But he's like a sentient talking rat, which isn't the biggest problem. But he tells you kind of exactly what to do. He's like, hey, you gotta bring me something to eat, which is fine. But I do like how buy food kind of more subtly guided you. It's like, oh, well, obviously it's the name of the game, but also, you know, his bowl's empty. You can see a pet store across the street, and you're guided through your house to get there. But Sentient Rat tells you to go get food, and then look what happens. You walk out here, you're just kind of overwhelmed. You can go this way, you can go this way, you can walk straight first into the acid and get an ending and experience it that way, but there's an exit sign here if you bother reading it. And then you go here. Oh, the exit. Okay, well, let's go and see where the store is. Maybe there's a, you know, let's go get some cheese. You come up here. Oh, I got a random event. And you're just overwhelmed even further. You have a diner here, and you're naturally guided to it just because it's kind of the first thing you see when you turn around. You have house here. You have these different winding streets. You have stuff you can see in the background. Looks like there's, you know, a fence there. Looks like it must go down or something. And it's just almost too much, you know? You come in here and, oh, well, there's money on the table. Oh, there's different, you know, there's different money and decorations and this NPC. But there's nothing you can physically buy or interact with that you see here. Besides, I guess this. And the only actual food you can get here is in this back room that's locked by a key. Well, how do you get the key? You gotta rizz up the the cashier. How do you rizz up the cashier? You have to just know the correct dialogue options. And it just creates a very convoluted experience. Now, if you haven't played this game before and you're wondering where you go to buy cheese for your rat, let's go back down. And let's start kind of how we did before. And I'll do a little fly through as if I'm a player. If you turn ever so slightly more when going to the exit, there's a shop. And so many people I've seen playthroughs have just missed this. Because they go straight for the exit, or they go that way, or whatever else. But you come to the shop, and it's already secluded enough, and you come in here, and can you spot the cheese? No, you can't, because it's on the other side. So everything I did right in Buy Food to Feed Your Cat, subconsciously, all those subconscious decisions I made with building the map and guiding the player, I didn't plan that out. I just put a house, I put a store across the street, put some roads and some other houses, and that was it. This was a more deliberate design, but somehow I completely missed the mark. It's just obstructions behind obstructions behind obstructions. And one thing a lot of people don't even know about is the entire fishing mechanic. The system I easily spent the most time working on for the game was completely neglected by most players because they just simply didn't know it existed. And even if you did know it exists, oh, you have to go run around and collect $16, or originally it was $22, to buy a fishing rod. Oh, and then you have to do that every time you want to get a fishing related ending. And it was just awful. One thing that easily could have made this game a lot better is just shrink the map. Because this map is way too large, and there's only 30 endings in this game, opposed to the 51 that Buy Food to Feed Your Cat had. Arguably, Buy Food to Feed Your Cat had more major updates and more ending additions. But even so, this game lacked so much content that it felt empty. It felt boring. It wasn't as fun as Buy Food was. Even though you had cool mechanics like fishing, there was just a lack of content and a lack of flow. And one thing that easily could have corrected this flow issue is if the player started on this side instead. You know, this was where the rat was. And maybe across from them was the shop. Sure, it's a lot closer distance than Buy Food to Feed Your Cat was, but the general idea is the same. You have a shop here, or you have a shop over here, and then you have an exit that goes outside here. So right there you have your three main objectives. You have your rat that you can feed, you have a store that would be over here where you can find these different items, and also just have a straight line of sight, and then have cheese on one of the first shelves, and then have easy access to the entire fishing mechanic that I spent too much time working on. But it seems somehow I completely missed the mark, and I made an experience that was just subpar compared to Find Cheese, or Buy Food to Feed Your Cat, sorry. Now, yes, I'm going to make a sequel to this game, and I'm going to do things much better. Is it going to have the same success that Buy Food to Feed Your Cat had? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. And I'm not hoping that it becomes a huge popular experience. It'd be cool if it happens, but that's not what I'm hoping for. That's what I was hoping for with Find Cheese to Feed a Rat. I was trying to bank on the success of Buy Food, and that didn't go well. I was too just focused on money and, you know, making things more polished and having more gameplay features and actually focusing on the content itself and creating unique, interesting endings. A lot of the endings in this game were just find this item, feed it to your cat, or feed it to your rat, you know? And most of them you could buy in the store. I don't know. It was a very scuffed experience. It was boring, it was slow, it was way too large, and I made a lot of mistakes with this game. But I have learned from those mistakes, and I know now, going forward, how I can rectify that and make a more enjoyable experience. Now, I could sit here and talk about this all day. I could sit here and ramble, and, you know, I'm still figuring out how I want to get back into YouTube. And I feel like this was a good excuse to talk about stuff. But my message to you, after I've rambled for nearly 20 minutes now, is Learn from past mistakes. Reflect on what you've made and how you can make something better. Um, at least in your own subjective viewpoint. But don't look at a game or any creation through the eyes of the part of you that wants to make money. Don't. Terrible idea. Look at the game that you're creating. If you're genuinely passionate about it, you genuinely think it's a fun idea and you want to make it, and it's not just the purpose of being a cash grab for the sake of being a cash grab. If it's something that's actually interesting to you, then actually put effort into it. Now, obviously, this is kind of very general and vague, but hopefully, from what I've showed you today, that gives you an idea of how you can make something that you're happy with and that other people are happy with. Look at your own game through the eyes of a player. Look at your own game through the eyes of the younger you who wanted to make a fun experience just because you could. And that will go far. Those will cause happy accidents. Those are the games that are going to do well for a long time. Buy Food to Feed Your Cat was more popular than Dysfunctional Diner was for a long time. Sure, it didn't have the same numbers and statistics, but it did very well for a long time. And just go make games. Go have fun. Don't worry about trying to make money. Game dev is a hobby, especially at first. Game dev is a hobby that you want to be fun for the sake of being fun. Don't go and make games to try to make money. Unless you're foolish, like I was, and so many other people were. You'll make money in time. Success will come to you. But what you have to focus on is having fun. Because nobody makes games if they're not interested in it. That's like, I don't know. That's like going and getting some job just because you want to make money, even though it's not very profitable thing. I don't know. I'm tired. I've rambled enough. Hopefully you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. Go watch Pirate Software. Incredible guy. Has some great streams. Always has great little philosophical shorts on YouTube and wisdom. I'll link him in the description. He's a huge inspiration to me and has definitely helped me reflect a lot on game development. Shout out to CatMob, especially CatMob Ricey, for helping me make some of these revelations today. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. I love you guys. And peace.